Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in this video, I wanted to talk about this article that was released from T-Mobile this morning. T-Mobile's 5G network continues to lead the nation. Umlaut once again names T-Mobile as the most reliable 5G network with the fastest active 5G speeds and best 5G coverage in the U.S. T-Mobile is again the clear winner in Ookla's third quarter 2022 analysis. Now here is where I have the problem, right? T-Mobile has been celebrating and claiming a wide margin of a lead for just about 2 years, right? When they first started the 2.5 deployment, they already had the lead on the 5G coverage because they were already deploying the 5G in the low band, the 600 megahertz equipment, 2 years prior to the merger even closing. They were deploying 600 megahertz in a dual band radio form that allowed them to turn on 5G in the low band as soon as it was ready to be turned on. As soon as it cleared in those markets after the auction, T-Mobile already had 5G NR equipment up on the sites before anyone even had 5G operational, right? Verizon had it in the millimeter wave, but T-Mobile was the first to deploy it. And then now 2 years in, now they have the mid-band 5G lead. And like I said, they've been able to claim that and celebrate that for the last 2 years. But according to even the third-party firms that T-Mobile likes to use for public marketing and PR stunts, that gap is closing. So I can no longer sit here and defend the whole, or we have the clear lead, the whole, clear winner, wide margins. When they use that type of language, I just don't see that as a wide lead anymore. So here's what I mean. So 5G network reliability, right? T-Mobile 485, AT&T 441, Verizon 340. So that gap is closing too. That margin used to be much wider when these reports came out, Q2, Q1, and then last year's quarterly reports. That gap is now, it's closing. It just is. So then we have the coverage. And again, this one's even tighter. So T-Mobile claims the 5G coverage lead, which they are only doing by purely using the low band, right? Because with the mid band, they're still trying to get to that 260 by the end of year and then 300 by the end of next year. But they are claiming the 5G lead in coverage by using the low band 600 megahertz. Well, if you look at this reporting that T-Mobile prefers to use in their marketing, it's 2%. It's literally a difference of a 2%. T-Mobile is at 93.1%. AT&T is now at 91.3%. Gap is closed. They're virtually tied. So where's the wide margin and the clear win? If AT&T has a good fourth quarter, T-Mobile may not be able to claim the largest 5G network anymore by the end of the fourth quarter. And I said this in previous videos, for those of you who have been paying attention, that this would happen. There's just too much money being spent by AT&T and Verizon to not close the gap. And T-Mobile is not spending enough money to stay ahead. Right? In one of the videos, I remember I asked which would happen faster. AT&T and Verizon closing the 5G coverage gap, or T-Mobile closing the coverage, the geographical coverage footprint to AT&T and Verizon. Which would happen faster? T-Mobile catching them in coverage, or them catching T-Mobile in 5G coverage? And if I remember correctly, a lot of you said it would be them catching T-Mobile into 5G coverage. And here you have it. It's virtually closed if you believe this testing. T-Mobile prefers this testing, and they allowed this report to be released with T-Mobile only having a 2% advantage on the 5G coverage. So here are the speed percentages from the Umlaut report. T-Mobile still has the lead on both Ookla and Umlaut. So, and also it looks like on Root Metrics they also still lead on the speed, which is to be believed because they still have more 2.5 deployed versus any other carrier. Although that gap is going to eventually close too, just more money being spent by AT&T and Verizon. So here we see T-Mobile in the lead, 74%, 78% on uplink and downlink. AT&T 66%, and then Verizon in third at 62%. And then on the uplink, you guys see the numbers. You could pause the video, check it for yourselves. But again, like I said, this is not a huge difference as they make it out to be, in my opinion. And then the 5G availability, 69%, 59%, 32%, right? If you look at Verizon and T-Mobile, 32 to 69, that to me is a wide margin. That's like, holy cow, that's a large gap. Lots of work to do, right? But the 59 to 69, that is not a big difference in my opinion. Like I said, if everything goes to plan and AT&T has a good fourth quarter, they might be right there on availability too. So very interesting approach for T-Mobile to continuing to push this as a wide margin or a clear win. Although I get it. I understand. If a team wins by 1 point, they still win. I understand that part. But I don't think the gap is as wide as T-Mobile is making it out to be here. And then the only thing right now that I still think where T-Mobile is the clear winner, because it's literally reported by any third-party testing firm that you look at, is the speed, the performance, 5G performance. T-Mobile there still has the clear lead at a 193. Verizon's at 119, closing that gap, catching up, but T-Mobile still quite has a wide margin of a lead. And then AT&T coming up the rear at 81 megabits a second. Again, they're still very early on in their C-band deployments. And that's pretty much it. And then I kind of want to point out something on this one too, which kind of had me scratching my head. Fastest provider by state. They have T-Mobile listed as the fastest provider in the state of Nebraska. T-Mobile does not have a native coverage footprint in like 90% of that state. They are roaming in 90% of the state of Nebraska on Viaero. And they have them listed as the fastest provider in that state. I don't understand that one. If you want to come up with a solution on that one, I don't understand it. But as it stands today, T-Mobile still does not have 90% of that state covered natively. So just to close out that video, those were just my thoughts and opinions. Like I said, it is not as a wide margin as T-Mobile makes it out to be. Maybe on some of that against Verizon, like the coverage and availability part, you can kind of make that argument that, yeah, they still have that wide lead and wide margin against Verizon. But AT&T is catching up. They're right there virtually, like I said. And if they have a good fourth quarter, they may be ahead of T-Mobile in that department the next time these stats are reported. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think about these reports. I will leave the article to this in the description down below so you guys can check it out. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel. Follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.